welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Killian and Coriander, we're here for Terminator 3, Rise of the
Yeah.
Machines. All right. And these are some conversations that me and Killian have had for years, just
hmm
us just chatting about movies. So
Nice.
so Kill, I
hmm
just want to let Coriander know we're heading into dark territory possibly here. It's getting deep. We got to
Look,
figure out how to do this thing. Go ahead.
peaks and valleys,
Peaks and
man.
valleys, man. Peaks and valleys. We just
Hmm.
keep it light, man. Keep it light. Okay, in the chat, we got Quasi in the chat saying hello. Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on?
Hey.
We
Hey.
got Slasher Fred saying, I didn't think there was going to be a T3. I hear that.
hmm
We got Biffer saying, yeah, it's
Hello.
Night Watch Zone.
Yeah, it is.
That's a good one. I didn't expect that. Eric says, so much good in this one, and sadly, it gets so much dislike.
I'm
Yeah,
with you,
absolutely.
Eric. I'm with you.
Absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
slightly with you, Eric.
Quasi saying, hello, the savior of humanity, Night Watch, the lovely Corey Connor, and the T 10,000 Killian. I love this movie.
Nice.
By the way, just because I walk into a bar and it's ladies' night doesn't make me a stripper. Jeez.
That was
Oh,
a great
man.
scene. Oh
Too
my
funny.
god.
Eric says Killian gets bonus points for having Ryu in his background.
Hey.
Right? There you go. All right, so let's get a quick take on this as we finish getting set up and giving others a chance to come into the chat if they choose to do so. Coriander, I'll start with you. This was your first time watching T3. What was your quick
Yeah.
take on it?
Yeah. I enjoyed this film. And, if you think about it, any sequel after T2, it's going to be hard to top. So I went in with this not even trying to compare it with T2 because you can't, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So,
Okay.
and yeah, I enjoyed it. I
All
enjoyed it.
right. Okay. And Kill, I mean, we've talked about this so many times, and I know that for some people, and maybe for you, I don't know, for some people they might say, well, how many times can you talk about it? But the difference of it now is we're talking about it to a live audience and people that are going to watch this, and also watching this movie or talking about it with the eye of a reviewer versus just a fan. What does
Right.
this movie mean to you? What's your quick take?
Well, I agree with Coriander. There's no way in the world you can do T2 again.
Mhm.
Lightning is not going to strike twice on that.
Yeah.
But I'm also looking at it as a fan of this franchise, and I know
Mhm.
the movies that come after it, and those
Mhm.
can be either peaks or valleys as well.
Mhm.
There were a lot of parts of this movie that I truly really liked, but then
Mhm.
there were some parts that just felt like a retread of
Mm,
T2, but just
Mhm.
diluted.
Mhm.
mhm.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and of course the biggest offender, no Linda Hamilton. That's my
Mhm.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love her. So yeah. So that's where I am with it.
Yeah. I'm just writing that down because I want to make sure that we get a chance to talk about that, the idea of the retread. For me, this movie, and obviously I watched it for this episode, and I've got to admit, man, it was a refreshing watch, and I do have some new feelings towards it, which we'll get into. But let me just finish in the chat here, and we'll get to that. We got Strange Monkey saying, "Hey everyone, I've been looking forward to this." All right,
Yeah, you have.
man. Quasi says, "That's why I'm going to marry Corey. Great taste." Oh, jeez.
Ah.
Oh, thank you.
uh, Eric saying, I saw this in theaters and loved it. I think people just love T2 so much, it's hard to follow up, like Predator and Predator 2. Yeah, I hear you, man.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
hear you.
I
Yeah.
love T2 too. I
Yeah,
mean, who couldn't love that movie?
right.
That was freaking incredible.
Absolutely.
hmm
Gorephobes in the chat saying, hey guys, I made it after all. All right, man.
Hey.
Nice.
Nice to have you. Nice to have you. All right, guys. I think everyone's situated there. So we're going to finish getting set up. So for you guys in the chat, for you guys watching the replay, sit back, relax. All right. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. So, Coriander, I'll start with you. What were you thinking about in the beginning of the movie, how it started, or any of the high points in the beginning?
I mean, I like how, it was 10 years after, supposedly, after the second movie, and
Hmm.
John Connor, he's a drifter. He's living off the grid, so he can't be found by any supposed future Terminators because he's still obviously very paranoid. And obviously, the ending of two, they don't really believe that they're at they saved the world. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because I, to me, yeah, I just like how it all started because it almost flows with how you think it would have turned out different because the way it ended, you would have thought that maybe he was, had a family or who knows, because they supposedly thought that how they changed and saved the world and humanity,
Well, I think
so
later in the movie, and it kind of makes sense. And I don't want to jump ahead, but just to kind of reference it further into the movie, we realized that Sarah still had some doubts, and that kind of
right.
plays into the character that she became in part two, to always have a plan B just in case. And of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
she passed all of that down to John. You know,
yeah,
Mhm.
even as a little boy, we saw when he had to do what he had to do in T2, he didn't even have to think about it, how to do the computer, what
right.
to do, how to reload guns. It was just like that. And that he had been separated from her for, I think, at least a year or two or whatever, when she was in the institution. So this has been a lifelong process of grooming him into this warrior. So it kind of makes sense that he did stay away from a family. He was on the run, at least to me, anyways.
Yeah,
And by the way, shout out to Nick Stahl, because, and that's one thing I'm going to say when I pass it to you, Kill. I think he did a fabulous job as John Connor, and I
yeah,
don't think I appreciated his performance as much back in the day. I thought he was good back in the day, but watching it now with the eye of a reviewer, I really enjoyed his performance. But as I pass it to you, Kill, we started it
mhm.
off very similar to the other two movies. They come across time. What were you thinking? I mean, they had some a little bit of differences here and there, but what were you thinking?
Well, I this is kind of one of those points where I was like, this is a lot like T2. Now, that can be looked at as good or bad, but it was definitely reminiscent of T2, especially Arnold, his portion,
Hmm.
because he's naked, he's this buff naked dude, and he goes into an establishment. Now this time it's not a biker bar, it's
Hmm.
freaking ladies' night, and they're just like, okay, you
Hmm.
know. so
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
like
that
they
they
was
kind of it's like they kind of switched it,
and
from
made it
T2.
funny. So
Hmm.
once again, this is what I'm talking about with like the peaks and valleys and retreading stuff that's a little diluted. I enjoyed this one because it was comedy. It was funny.
Hmm.
It was very funny to see Arnold go in there and then the women like, oh,
yeah, they
uh,
did.
yeah, they did.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Juxtaposed to when he went into the biker bar in two and just wrecked shop,
right.
you know.
Hmm.
And
Hmm. Yeah.
also the first one where he goes after our boy Paxton and his
Hmm.
crew and wrecked
Hmm.
shop too. So this was
Right.
a good difference, and it was funny, and it just kind of, I don't know, in a way, kind of lightened the mood based on what's about to happen. You
Yeah,
know.
that's a good point too, because I think it was good. Some people criticize the campiness a little bit, but I think you're right, because of how dark this thing gets, and
Yes.
how dark it is through a lot of the movie. I think it does kind of balance it out. But we also see the TX coming through time, played by
Mm-hmm.
Christina Loken,
Kristana Loken.
and obviously she's doing her best Robert Patrick. Okay, like, I mean, look, all I know is this. I thought Robert did a great job in T2, but I've got to give her credit for this one. I
She
thought
was good.
she did
Yeah.
She
a
was good.
fantastic
Mm.
job, and it might have been even more sinister in a way, because, and it's not to sound sexist, but it's just being real, is that, seeing a lady do these things, and
A vicious killer. Yeah.
she seemed even more cold-blooded than Robert Patrick,
Hmm.
of course, as the TX model can do more than the T1000. Um, but she obviously finds her way into a situation where she can be mobile, and she's basically on the hunt. This is very reminiscent of how Arnold did it in part one, at least in my opinion. You know, she had a list of names, targets, and she started systematically to go to each one, you know, saying, hey, are you so and so? Hey, are you so and so? And there was no questions asked. She would just do what she had to do,
Yeah.
pull out a gun.
Kids,
And
she didn't care.
Yes, you're right. They were teenagers. She just went
Yeah.
off. Like
Mhm.
she really went off. And let me just catch up to the chat here, Coriander, and I'll throw it back to you. We had one thing I wanted to throw here. Gore was saying that he hadn't seen T3 since 2009. So hopefully you'll enjoy this conversation, man. Quasi says, the only thing I didn't like was that John Connor was a wimp. Where's the future leader still whining, man? Well,
Yeah, he had his bitch moments, definitely.
well,
I mean,
look,
I might have my bitch moments too if she's coming after me. I'm sorry. Hey.
Yeah, I mean, look, well, again, this is a good part of the conversation here. I think personally, you know, when you think about what he's gone through, you know, as far as his mom was grooming him, and then she gets taken away, and you think that all that she fed you was BS, and then you come to realize that you were wrong. All that hate, all that resentment you had for her whatever, a couple years or whatever, was wrong, and then you have to go and basically save her. You're being chased by the T-1000, and it's like all of a sudden the weight of this stuff that she said, it's real. Like, I am really gonna be the savior of humankind. I mean, look, that anyone who says that wouldn't weigh on you, I just call BS on that. You know what I mean? But then in this movie, we find out what else happened. And I don't want to jump ahead, but obviously Sarah Connor is not in the movie. So look, man, that can mess you up without any of the humankind future stuff. You know what I mean? So that's just my opinion. But did you agree with that, Kill or Coriander, or what?
Yeah, I will just kind of chime in. I agree with you, Knight. She's been grooming him, you know, to be able to live outside of the law, to do things that might not be legal. I mean, in the second movie, he was able to get money out of machines. He knew how to do that. So she taught him a lot of these kind of underground skills that would help him to live off the grid, to live borderline illegally if he had to.
Yeah.
And in this movie, we're kind of at that cusp of him kind of, you know, just working menial jobs, staying below the radar, staying off the grid, and also wondering, is anything going to happen, or did we fix everything?
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, that's kind
of a lot of growing to become the man he's expected to become.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And I think that also makes it a little realistic too, because you know, you figure, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like action movies where someone, you know, trains for a little bit and then all of a sudden they're superhuman. But
Billy Badass.
Yeah, but it kind of makes sense that, you know, he's a human being. He's just a regular guy.
Yeah.
He's a regular guy.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I thought he was a good, you know, replacement.
He's just a regular guy. And one day he's going to have enough guts to be that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the training that Sarah showed him will help him. So I think it does make sense as far as the progression of where he's going. In other words, you see a character arc and you can see where it's going. Eric in the chat was saying, side note, my daughter just saw your opening edit with the clips of the film set to your theme from Corey Knight. She said it was so awesome.
She's adorable. That's all I have to say.
Let's see. Just want to make sure I catch up with everyone here. Stahl is underrated. Just look at his filmography. He's so damn good in everything. Yeah. Absolutely. Let's see. We also got Brian in the chat saying, "Hey, Night, Coriander, and Killian." All right.
Hello.
Hey.
All right. Hey, how's it going? Brian was saying, I don't think they had to make this film. Why another Terminator? However, I think I enjoyed the one with Christian Bale, but Terminator 1 and 2, I think, were basically enough. Ooh. Yeah. I mean, you know. Well, crap.
Ooh.
That's right. Okay, we'll get to that later. My man Ben's in the chat saying, I am the Night Watch. All right.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are, buddy. Eric saying the TX killing teenagers in a drive-through window. That's dark stuff. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like she gave no shit.
Yeah, she didn't hold back. Yeah.
Yep. Ben was saying, "Sup, y'all? Listening at work, so I won't be too active in the chat." Oh, thanks a lot, man. Well,
Aw,
hope you enjoy
thanks.
the
Yeah.
conversation.
Definitely.
Uh, let's see. We got Frank, the Harsh Truth, in the chat saying, "Taking a break from my Janet Jackson playlist to come chill with the crew."
Oh, good
Nice.
Nice.
stuff.
Thanks,
Right?
man. Man, you guys are really working in this thing, man. Strange Monkey saying, "Talk to the hand because I need your clothes, boots, and your motorcycle on wash day, and nothing is clean, right?"
Oh man.
Nice,
Yeah, just think
nice.
that. No, I won't say it. Never mind.
What?
No, no, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm not saying it.
Okay. Brian saying they've been making these Terminator movies and TV shows, and I'm sorry, I feel they're just milking it after T2. Cameron wondered initially, and I think Arnold too didn't know if they would make a second Terminator. Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. But Coriander, as we get into the story, once we meet um, Kate, who's played by Claire Danes, and
Yeah.
obviously she has no clue what's going on. The TX
Right?
comes after her and is basically going off. This is before Arnold comes into the picture. This was some interesting
Yeah.
stuff because she meets John. They obviously knew
Hmm.
each other from back in school, and then Arnold just comes ramshackling in to save her from the TX. What were you thinking of that
Right?
scene?
I mean, I thought it was great. She's going into work thinking, it's going to be a typical day. Some woman had a sick cat, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let alone to know that John broke in, and took some drugs, and I don't know what the hell he was doing, if he was trying to fix himself or what. I don't know
Well,
what
well,
happened.
he wiped out on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So he
That's
was
right.
he was injured. So just like
Yeah,
Killian
from
was
that
saying, Sarah
deer.
taught him
Yeah.
if you need to do stuff, this is how you can
Yeah.
get
Don't go to the
medication.
hospital
Don't go, and that's what he said. He
Yeah.
said, "I can't go to the hospital."
because that's
Yeah.
Yep.
records. Mm-mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very
Yep.
exactly. Good point, Kill. So
Oh yes.
he was just trying to stay off the radar, man. Seriously.
Mm.
Yeah, he was.
Um, and Kill, once Arnold comes into play, I mean, we've watched this since we were kids, and I know, we look at it from that viewpoint. But as far as being a reviewer, what did you think? I mean, when he came in and saved the day a little bit, and then starts on this journey of quote unquote kidnapping Kate with John in tow.
Well, I loved it because we find out kind of why, I'm not going to go too far ahead why he saved her, but
Yeah.
and one thing I will say about Claire Danes, she's a great actress. I have loved her in
Yeah.
everything she's done, and
Mhm.
Hmm.
she is very smart and crucial to the story because she is now our avatar to this world. She is
Yes.
the reason things are being explained, and it's very
Yes.
smart. They don't this movie, the pacing, one thing about one thing I'll say about all the Terminator movies, all of them, even the ones I didn't like that much, I feel the pacing is always good. It's always
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And this one, they don't stop to give a lot of backstory. It's there's a scene where John is in the back of a truck, kind of like a prisoner in a way, locked in there, and Kate is asking him questions, and she's getting
Yeah.
information, and the audience, is getting information. Coriander's getting information if this is the first time she's ever seen a Terminator movie. They give you
Yeah.
the info dump right there, and things are still moving.
Right.
So I thought that was so smart because in Terminator movies, it's essentially a stalker movie. You don't have
Yeah.
a lot of time for characters
Yeah.
that give these big soliloquies about the end of the world,
Right.
and it's an action movie.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I loved it, when Arnold comes in, because I remember the first time when I saw this, I was thinking, wow, he's really trying his best to protect her.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, huh, interesting.
Mhm.
So yeah, and also Arnold, he knows this role like the back of his hands. And
Yeah.
I don't know how old Arnold Schwarzenegger was with the filming of this,
He was in
but
He was
50s.
56.
Yeah.
God bless him, because
Right?
that man knows how to. Him and Sly, they always know how to get in
Yeah,
shape.
they're keeping it
And
real.
I mean, look
Exactly.
at that dude. Like, dude, I
Right?
hate you,
Right?
Arnold. I hate
Right?
you. Right? I'm so jealous of you.
Right?
But you're awesome, man.
Yeah, man, he is awesome.
Oh,
But
God.
what I was gonna say too is Oh man, I think I lost the moment.
I'm sorry.
Oh yes, Cameron has said many times, and especially back then when they went into T3, he said that he felt as though that the Terminator was as much as Arnold's as it was his, as far as the character itself.
Yeah.
And you got to
Oh yeah.
give credit to James Cameron because he knew what was up. It's just
Right.
like in a team sport, that is, team. There's not just one person that's the only
Yeah.
thing that's important. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A coach
And
needs its
y'all are
players.
feeling
A
it.
players needs a
Exactly.
coach. You know what I mean?
Right.
And Cameron realized that. But Coriander, as we get into the next big scene, which of course was the chase. Let's just talk about this, man, because I gotta admit, man, this thing was
It was incredible.
something.
I mean, it was. I thought it was even better than the chase scene in part 2.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I thought
yeah.
this took it up, a couple levels. I mean, this chick had a bigger, huge, look at this thing she's driving. This
Right.
wide load fucking thing with this crane thing. I mean,
Crane.
come on, she's smashing through buildings, and I mean, it's
Everything.
just exactly. I mean, it was awesome. I loved this
Yeah.
scene. Yeah.
And that grappling hook. She used a grappling hook
Right?
to hit Arnold. He grabs onto it, so then he's
Yeah.
swinging. He's getting put through
Going
buildings.
through the building.
I
Exactly, man.
Yeah, I will say this, and then I'll give it to you, Kill. They really gave you a sense of how durable and strong these Terminators were, maybe more than ever before. Definitely more
Yeah.
than ever before, because Arnold's going through these buildings like it's paper mache. When him and the TX fight, they're going through stuff. It's crazy, and so I got to give
Yeah.
credit to the special effects, to all of the practical effects. Again, shout out to Stan Winston, rest in peace. But Kill, what were you thinking about the chase and how it was happening? Was
gotta
it
say,
better
I thought-
than the chase in 2-2?
I think it was, but I got to say one thing. I thought you were about to give shouts out to Skynet for building good quality Terminators.
Hey, right?
Dude, I so was waiting for you to say that. I got to say the T800 is durable as hell.
Right?
It's
T800, man. He's the little engine that could, right?
It's a popular model. That's why they're always jacking that one. But no, yeah, I agree with Coriander. I think this chase sequence was even better. And if memory serves, I believe Arnold paid for this sequence himself.
Yeah.
Because it was way over budget. Okay,
fact,
see,
son. You're all right.
I'm all right. All right.
I love you, man.
and Arnold, if I hope you're listening. I would love it if you're listening. But I am so happy you said no. We need this sequence, and I'm gonna pay for it because this, in my opinion, is the best chase sequence in any Terminator movie. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Nice.
I
agree.
And I agree with you, Knight. He's being put through buildings, and the TX is deadly. I mean, we thought the T1000 was deadly, but the TX is a Terminator killer. Okay, that's one thing we haven't said. Skynet built this Terminator specifically to be able to kill Terminators. Now, why would Skynet do that?
Well, and also, and then I'll get to you. Well, actually, I'll get to the chat, then you, Coriander. But that scene with him and John when they were talking, Arnold said that Skynet knew of his presence in the timeline. So Skynet, just being the ultimate, whatever, they were like, okay, well, we know the 800 is in the past, so we gotta build a Terminator specifically to handle him.
Skynet is the ultimate cock blocker. Okay, right? They don't want anyone to have fun. Right. They're like, oh, right?
Yeah. In the chat, Ben was saying that he's going well, kind of busy with work, but doing well. Glad to hear that, man.
Oh, good.
Glad to hear that. Hopefully we'll be catching up soon, brother. We got Dan in the chat too saying, hey guys, not the most memorable film, but it was enjoyable. Yeah, I
agree with that comment 100%.
Yeah. Gore says, yeah, I didn't really dislike it, but after T2, it was quite a drop in all-around quality. Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a drop. It was a drop, but I gotta admit, and again, it could be because I just rewatched it after not seeing it for, I don't know, probably at least a couple years, 2-3 years. I gotta admit, man, I was impressed with the good things that they did do. They had a great villain. I think Christina Loken was great as the TX. She was
Yeah.
definitely very formidable. Arnold always
Yeah.
does his thing. Nick Stahl was great. Claire Danes always does a good thing.
Yes.
The
And
cast was great.
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
and I don't want to jump ahead, but the third act, I think the third act could have been one of the best third acts, up to the. I don't want. We'll get into it. Well, I'll tell you exactly what I mean. But it was a lot of great stuff, and I was telling this to Coriander before we went live. I was kind of surprised at how many good things were coming into my head to talk about tonight. So, it
Yeah,
is what it
that's
is.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric saying that he loves how the T800 listens to Claire Danes instead of John. Yeah, again, it was
Right.
these little twists, and of course, when we find out why, it was like, wow, that's dark.
Gut punch. Gut
Right?
punch. Like,
Right?
oh.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, Coriander. Once they survive the chase scene, and then well, before that, we do find out what happens when they go to the mausoleum. And what were you? And it was funny because I was saying to Coriander, I was like, man, I'm surprised you haven't asked me about a certain type of thing, which was of course
Stop.
finding out.
Yeah. You
I
asking a question is like, you're not going to answer it, so why even bother? So no.
but you ask them anyway. So, but we find out what happened to Sarah, which was that was a gut punch, and a lot of that was because Linda Hamilton decided to not reprise the role. But what were you thinking of that, and how this scene panned out, Coriander?
It's almost in Aliens, or no, not Aliens, but the third one, when you find out that Newt and what's his face didn't make it.
Yeah.
You're a little disappointed because, you're at least expecting to, I don't know. I thought maybe she'd be in it, but
right.
I don't know, but I did like how she had planted in her casket, all those weapons for them. And she was always, like you said, thinking ahead. And
yes,
even in her death, she still had shit ready for them in case this all went down. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and just to throw it out there before I get back to you, Kill, Linda Hamilton turned it down because she felt as though the character didn't have anywhere to really go at that point, because it really was now John's story. So her character would have been more like a fifth wheel, and she just didn't
I can kind of see that.
Yeah, and she just didn't think that it would have been enough for her to join in the story, because at this point, the script was always that John was older, a young man, and we're heading into Judgment Day and all that type of stuff. So Sarah was just kind of there. Now, granted, maybe if they did something with a better script, they could have made her more important. But then again, it makes the movie so much more complex, because you still got to have time with Claire Danes. You've got Arnold, you got this TX, and all this other stuff. So I guess I can understand why she didn't do it. But once we find out that she's got the stash and the casket kill, that was a nice little scene too with Arnold and I mean, damn, it's just some cool shit, man.
Look, why? Anytime you see Arnold with a minigun, just don't. You see that man, you let that man walk. You don't mess with them. And I mean, she left a stash. I mean, grenade launchers, rocket launchers, miniguns. I mean, shots out to Sarah Connor.
Shells, and you notice those explosive shells that were able to take care of the T-1000. That's a nice little wink that they did too.
Oh yeah. So I mean, and once again, great sequence. And did he kill anyone? Did he murder law enforcement? No. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we got to remember your boy was there too, Silverman.
That was so funny. Oh my god,
doing his usual thing, man. And he's talking about how he basically is trying to talk himself into thinking that everything he saw in T2 was just a delusion. And then when he sees Arnold Holy
Yeah,
shit. I
that
gotta
was
give him
great.
credit. The look on his
Yeah.
face was classic. And he does the smartest thing, man. He starts running. He's like,
Yep.
Yep.
peace.
He's like,
He's
nope.
like,
Right.
I would
I
too,
thought
man,
that
if I
was
saw a guy
funny.
carrying a casket like it's nothing.
Right?
But fantastic stuff. And again, I thought the TX, this was a great scene for Christiana too. Is she was just really, really just showing the weaponry. And then of course Arnold hits her with the
Yeah.
rocket launcher. It was cool stuff, man. But when she had that scene where she was running after them as they were driving, that was so
Yeah.
awesome, man. Again, man, she was doing a Robert Patrick, man, because it looked like she was
Even
running
better.
so fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know they might have sped up, but you could tell that she was really running, you know, just and it looked great, man. She physically, I thought she did a great job
Oh
in
yeah.
these scenes.
Yeah.
And then when you saw that she could change her weapons, man, I was like, what? And now she's got a
Yeah.
flamethrower. It was some really cool stuff. But back to where we were going with this, with the dark stuff. Coriander, when we find out why he listens to Kate instead of John, what were you thinking of that scene? Because again, this is all new stuff for you as far as what he did to John in the future. What were you thinking?
Yeah, that's you're gonna spoil this part, right?
Yeah, this is spoilers. We are talking spoilers. So you have been warned.
All right, so just go ahead and spoil it, and
Well,
then I'll
when he's
react
talking
to it.
when he's talking to Kate, and then
Yep.
John says, "Well, why are you listening to her?" And he says, "Well, he was an infiltration, an assassin, and he was chosen because of the attachment that John had to his model." You know, obviously, we know that too from the last movie. But he said the reason he listens to Kate is because John was already dead at that point. And of course, John's like, "Oh, well, geez, that sucks." And then he's like, "Well,
Yeah,
how did it
true.
happen?" And then Arnold started to talk about it. He's like, "No, I don't want to know." And then Claire Danes is like, "Well, tell me, you know, what happened?" And he says
Yeah.
that he killed John.
Yep.
And I was like,
Yeah.
"Wow." Like that's just,
Yeah.
you
That
know, it's just
sucks.
and with that, I want to segue you know, for you too, Kill. Arnold, the way he characterized this Terminator, first of all, I thought it was smart of them to have a different angle that he's coming from. He's much more abrasive than he was portrayed in part two. What did you think of that, Kill?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, and just to piggyback real quick on that scene, you know, once again,
Yeah.
gut punch stuff,
Yes.
dark stuff, because you know, he realizes, oh, okay, well, I guess eventually somebody was going to get me. Well, you know, who got me? I did. You know, I was like, oh
Right.
shit. And that explains
Yeah.
why, once again, this model was able to be wired, because it was in
Right.
proximity. You know, it's not like they're just out there hunting. And man, we got to find a T-800. This one was an infiltration model. It looked like a father figure of John's from his past.
Right.
And that's why it was able to get so close to him.
Yeah.
You know, once again, Skynet, ultimate cockblocker. You know, they're smart. You know,
Right. They're like,
they're
hey,
just
let's send in who he's comfortable with. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's just dark stuff. And Kate was just like, all right, well, I'm gonna rewire him and send him back there, and you know, let's roll the dice on the timeline again. So
Yep. Eric says, jumping ahead, but that ending was amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
yes,
Yeah.
it
Crazy.
was. It really was.
Wasn't expecting
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Quasi says T3 had T1's brutality and T2 action. That's actually a good way to put it, because I think that's very, very true. I agree with that. That's a great comment, man. Oh, we got Mr. Corey in the chat saying, "It's me, little busy and had to hop on the alternate. I like T3 enough. Honestly, haven't watched it since like forever ago." Yeah, me too, man, until I rewatched it for this episode. But I gotta admit, man, like I said, there are a lot of good things that came in from this movie that I was really surprised that I started to realize. But hey, man, nice to have you in the chat, man. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I haven't seen you in a while. All right. And Frank's still with us. He's saying, "I always thought that the fact that there was a part 2 meant that Judgment Day was inevitable. So I thought the events of this film, especially the ending, were great." Yeah,
Right.
absolutely, man. I mean, I can't wait till we get to that point too, because that was some really good stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's dark stuff. We find out that he's the one that's going to be John's killer. And they figure, okay, well, we got to go and warn her dad. Her dad is the key to shutting down Skynet. And that became a big theme, is that we got to shut down Skynet. We know
Yeah.
who
Stop
to
the
go
damn
to.
nukes.
Right. And there were some cool things that were coming together, because they were talking about how 10 years ago, John and Kate had met, and, were having a little moment or whatever. And that was the day before Arnold had come for him, in Terminator 2. And here it is 10 years later. And right before the stuff pops off, they're back together. So, in other words, giving you that sense of destiny. And I thought that was just
Yeah.
little things like that were kind of cool. But
Yeah.
Kill, once we get into the facility, or I'm sorry, Coriander, once we get into the facility, what were you thinking about, one, Kate's father, and how this whole thing is starting to come to fruition of Skynet, but also the early Terminator models?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool what they were showing with this thing that you're showing there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're creating these things that, damn, it's incredible shit, and it's scary
Yeah.
because look what happens, you know?
Yeah, it's the
And
beginning.
and they were trying to figure out why all the computers in like the eastern part of the states was like all screwing up, and yeah, it's kind of it's just interesting how, they always get into this stuff with Skynet, and
Mm-hmm.
how someone always finds a way to continue the work and create
Right.
these things where you can't stop what's gonna happen, what's
Right.
bound to happen.
Right.
So I thought, yeah, he was just trying to do what he thought would help figure out, would stop, this virus that was taking over these computers.
Right.
And
Yeah.
to find out that that was the virus with Skynet, yeah, you're like, holy shit, man. It
Right.
it was crazy,
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Kill, what were you thinking, especially with these early Terminators, and basically seeing it happening? We heard so much about it in these other two movies. Now we're actually seeing it happen.
Yeah, I loved it because these are prototypes, or these are the first
Yes.
iterations, and you can see how they build upon them. The flying ones, the hunter killers.
Yeah.
I mean, and we've seen what those turn out to be. I mean, hell, we saw them in the opening sequence of the first movie, how
Right.
big those things get and so forth.
Yeah.
And then of course I think it was like the T17,
T101 or
yeah.
17. Yeah.
Yeah, the T17. Yeah, it's like, oh man,
there you go.
T17. We know what you're gonna become, buddy.
Right.
And
we know how far. We know how many models they're going to be, because Arnold is a T101.
Exactly.
This is a T1-7. Arnold is a model T101 Series 800. So it's like Skynet's going to be busy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, once again, it's a machine. It goes
Right.
for perfection. It goes
Right.
for perfection and efficiency. And what's
Right.
efficient now? Oh, we're up to this T1000. Oh, well, we got something even better now. We got a TX. And it's like, geez. So yeah, I mean, robots don't sleep.
Right.
They're gonna be
Right.
pumping them out.
You always got to do some work.
Yeah.
Real quick too, in the chat, Eric was saying this was Coriander's first time watching. Yes. Have you not seen anything past Judgment Day? No, everything's new, right, Coriander?
Yes, I know. Crazy to think, but it is true. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but that's good
After
though.
T2,
Yeah.
It's a refreshing thing to talk to someone who doesn't. Like I said, I was telling her this, Kill. I said, I'm glad you got to see this, because you don't have the baggage that me and Killian have had. That
Yes.
sometimes can weigh your thoughts down. And
Definitely.
so it's really cool. Gore says pretty good Terminator fight too. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where we're going to go to in a second here. She says, Gore says she does the Robert Patrick Terminator face. She does, man. She did a hell of a job, man.
She did.
I got to give her all the credit in the world, man. It was very believable.
And her face was a lot more nicer to look at.
Right. But what about this fight, man? What did you think, Kill? Because look, all I know is that this was one of the best Terminator fights that, this was just a great fight. What'd you think?
Oh, me or Coriander?
Yeah, Kill.
Oh,
You.
yeah, dude, I loved it. I mean, because she is outclassing him
Yeah.
like every chance. I mean, and obviously she's an upgrade. You know, she is built to be able to kill Terminators.
Right.
And I mean, hell, I think she's also built to be able to kill the models above him, like a T-1000 and etc.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
him being an 800 series, that's light work, man.
Yeah.
but
Right.
but the one thing I will say is, whereas her and the T-1000, they're very stealthy and streamlined and fast,
Hmm.
and the 800 series, Arnold's built like a brick
Tank.
house,
Hmm.
a
There he is.
tank. He's still able to rock and roll a little bit because he's
Right.
he's he's built, like you said, Knight, damn sturdy by Skynet.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
but yeah,
He's
it
like
was
a
an awesome sequence. Go ahead, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I mean, he's like a hammer. You know what I mean? And she's
Yes.
like a fine tool.
A
You know what I'm saying?
katana.
Yes. Exactly.
Oh
Eric
my
saying
God.
she'll be back. Right. uh, but um, but Coriander, what were you thinking of that fight too? Because again, this is the first time you've seen this. What did you think of this fight and the special effects, man? Because I thought it still looks pretty good. It
Yeah.
looks pretty good to this day, and this
Yeah.
movie is what 18 years old. So what did you
Yeah.
think,
I
Coriander?
mean, with the date of this movie and with the CGI, it was enjoyable. It wasn't too much. And I thought, yeah, this fight scene, it was incredible.
Yeah,
She just, yeah. I mean, I would not want to go up against either one of these things, but especially her. I
yeah. I
mean,
mean,
she's like twisting her head and her body
she's
completely
doing her best
around,
Linda
and
Blair impersonation.
exactly. I mean, yeah, how can you compete with that? And
Right.
especially when you can heal yourself so easily, and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so of course, he gets done in by her. I mean, and I think it was
Yeah.
realistic too, because obviously he's no match. He says he's obsolete. And we saw
Mm.
that, when he had to go toe to toe with Robert Patrick, he just couldn't do it either. So it gives you that sense of dread. The hero, you root for the
Yeah.
hero, and the hero has to struggle to reach the mountaintop. So I thought it was a very good scene. He gave some good shots, but she ultimately took him out.
Mm.
But then the twist came, Kill, where she messed with his wiring and stuff. And then you see the famous scene where, he pulls John out of the plane. Of course, before he did that, he was like, leave, go, get away.
Yeah.
When I first saw this, Kill, this was just crazy. I mean, what were you thinking in this scene?
Man, once again, this is her showing her move set like in a video game. Like,
Yes.
wait, she can do that? She can
Right.
reprogram a Terminator?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I thought, like, man, she is really evil. She's gonna
Yeah.
have him kill her, for her. And I'm like, wow. And once again, people could talk about Arnold's acting, but his facial expressions, especially his eyes when he's like walking and he's like, go,
Right.
how his eyes are like stressed, at
Yeah.
times, because he's really fighting the programming or the
Hmm.
virus that she kind of put in his programming.
Right. Right.
And it's just, once again, man, some dark stuff, because at this
It
point,
is.
when I first saw it, I was like, oh man, it's gonna go down. Like, this
Yeah.
movie is just dark, and
Mhm.
he's gonna get
Yeah.
aced out.
Right. Yeah. For a moment, I thought it was going to happen too. Coriander, what were you thinking in that scene, being the first time? Because I think you even said something like, "Oh my God, don't tell me he's going to kill him now."
Yeah, I didn't
Sooner
think
than he was supposed to.
right, because when just like you say in the truck, when he says, I'm the one who kills you, you're
Hmm.
thinking, damn, you don't expect it in this movie. At least I was, and I was thinking, oh, maybe it's in the next movie. But when it's in like a couple of scenes later, it's like, Jesus, yeah, it's crazy, because at one point, like you said, he was a father figure to him, and
Yeah.
now here he is coming to terminate him. Yeah,
Right.
it's sad.
Right. Absolutely. And then as we get into the finale, I mean, obviously John and Kate, they get away in the plane and the TX comes after them. And then you had
Right.
that really cool scene down the corridor where she was literally killed. She was literally right
Yeah.
behind them. And John was smart enough. Again, John is smart. You know, he may not be the ultimate warrior right now, but you see where it's going because he's smart enough and he turns on that magnet. And again, shout out to the special effects and Stan Winston and all those guys, man, because I thought it looked really, really good. And it was something kind of crafty. What were you thinking of this scene, Kill?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, it's funny in each of these movies, this being the third one, the ways that they kill Terminators, you crush one in the first one, you freeze one, and then you melt them in the second one, and then this one you got the magnet that it doesn't kill her per se, but it definitely slows her down a lot, and it worked for me because, like, well, man, you're watching, you're like, well, what are they gonna do? How are they going to even be able to stop her or slow her down?
Right. Yeah.
And like you said, Knight, John is smart. He was taught guerrilla tactics. He was taught how to make ammo. He was taught, like, hey, here's how magnets work. Here's how the polarity of them and things like that. So he's and also she's his mother, Sarah, has groomed him to be able to think under pressure and on the fly. And that shit right there with her right on their ass in that corridor. That is thinking on the fly, and that's something not everyone can do. When when the pressure is on you, literally breathing down your neck. Exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I love that sequence. And one thing I'll say, and I agree with you, Knight, the special effects of that, like where some of her skin and face is melting off with the magnet, I think it still holds up. I think the special effects in this movie were pretty damn good,
I mean, it actually took what they did in T2 and kind of pushed it a little bit further, and that was kind of, you don't see that a lot with these franchises, you know what I'm saying? So that was kind of, again, another positive mark for this movie that, like Eric was saying earlier, a lot of people give a lot of hate to or criticize it a lot because it's not T2. But anyways, obviously we got to get to the finale. They get to Crystal Peak. They're looking around. Coriander, and I know I keep calling on you about this stuff, but the reason is because you've never seen it. Here's another image, too, just to throw it out at you guys. This is fantastic stuff. But when they get to Crystal Peak, Coriander, you told me, you said, man, they're going to probably get to Skynet right in time to stop Judgment Day. Take me through these scenes once they get down off the elevator. John's looking around again. Shout out to Nick Stahl. I thought he was fantastic in this moment with the bewilderment and the emotion. Tell me what you were thinking in this scene as it started to become clear what had happened.
You're like, you're finally realizing that Judgment Day is gonna happen. That, like he said, these computers are like way outdated. He's like, there's nothing here. This is like a bunker, a safe house type of thing. And it was crazy because, then you see, the nukes going off and that it's over. And the ending that at least I was expecting, a happy ending, was definitely not a happy ending. Yeah.
I mean, once I saw the seal, I was just like, when I first saw this movie, I was just like, wait a minute, what? And same thing with John. I mean, it was just crazy. Kill, what were you thinking in this scene? I think that this was the most courageous finale, up to this point, and I think it worked out well. It made this movie stand apart.
This is my favorite part of this movie. Like, I have my issues with it, but this ending was truly, in my opinion, a magnificent ending. Evil wins, and evil was always going to win. Unfortunately, and essentially, I love Kate because she's just like, no, you don't get it, John, you dumbass. Like, Judgment Day was always going to happen. You were meant to be here,
right?
And the realization, and once again, Nick Stahl, great actor, the realization on his face of, oh my God, like, there really was no fate. There was no changing it. It was going to happen one way or another, with all the stuff his mother tried to stop, with all the stuff they tried to do in the second movie, all they tried to do in this movie.
In this. Exactly.
It was inevitable. It was inevitable.
Yep.
Well,
go ahead.
And also just to reference something, Arnold said it right in the beginning when they all met up. He said, "You only postponed Judgment Day," and
Yeah,
he said,
he
and he
did.
said, and he said, you only postponed it, and he said, "This is your destiny," and he says, "My mission is to get you away from the
Keep you
blast
alive.
radius, right?
Yeah, man.
To get you away from the blast radius." So, so he never did he go there with the mission to stop Judgment Day, like the Arnold and T2. His mission was always to get John to a safe place, so when the nukes hit, he was going to survive because he had to survive. So when you think of it that way, it is friggin' dark, man. It
Yeah, it
really is.
is.
Yeah.
But also, and I know we skipped that part, but when Arnold pulls out his nuclear cell and basically kills the TX, I thought again it was just a great scene. And like you were saying, Kill, he always finds a way, and the special
Yeah.
effects, the makeup. I mean, look at that. That looks fantastic. And I must say, it looks like an upgrade from even T2. So just another one of those moments that was just like, wow, this movie did a hell of a job. But yes,
It
the
did.
ending, was great. It really, really was. But let's throw out a couple of fun facts here, and Kill. We'll tackle these together. I'll read one, then you read one, and we'll have Coriander chime in on them. But
Mhm.
the first fun fact: Arnold was a beast. When we're talking about his training.
Yeah. Yeah, man. He worked out for like 6 months, 3 hours a day. Yeah, he
Wow.
wanted to make sure that he was the same weight and muscle measurements that he was in T2. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. That's cool shit, man. You
Yeah.
can Arnold is all right, man. He's
He's
all
all
right.
right.
He's still good. All right, Kill,
Right?
I'll let you take this second one.
Okay. The familiar gas station.
Yeah. So the gas station that they stopped at to gas up, it was actually the gas station that was in the three movies. Yeah. In the
Mm.
first one, it was
Mm.
where Sarah was gassing up at the end. And in the second one, it was when she escaped from the hospital and spent the night. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
Nice.
that's cool. And I
Yeah.
didn't even know that. I've watched
You
these
didn't?
Right?
movies since I was a little kid. I did not know that. That's a great fun fact, Coriander. That's awesome. The next one, let's see. Dr. Silberman is an OG, and we already talked a
Yeah,
little bit
he
about that.
is.
We already
Yeah.
talked a little bit about that. But being in all three movies,
Yeah.
very, very cool. All right, Kill. I'll let you do the next one.
A strong TX.
Yeah. So Christiana had to put on 15 pounds. And she also took a mime class, which I thought was so brilliant because her performance at playing a machine was, yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Again, it was really, really good. It could
Yeah.
have gone south, you know what I'm saying? Because and again,
Mm,
I'm not trying to sound sexist or anything, but you have a female Terminator, and it really could have been done in a way that wouldn't have felt authentic to a Terminator movie. And I got to give credit to the director, the filmmakers, Stan Winston, and obviously Christiana herself to take it so seriously and to really put
yeah.
forth the greatest of efforts. I mean, it really,
Hmm.
she was
It paid
devious.
off.
Yeah.
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 And the last one is 6 months of an edit.
Yes. So that car chase sequence took 6 months, yeah, to edit.
Wow.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
But
it
they
is.
threw everything but the kitchen sink in that scene, man. That scene
Yeah,
was
they did.
great.
Right? It was
Yes.
awesome. Yeah.
Yes. As we start to get out of here on this one, Eric is saying this movie was dark enough already. Now we see Judgment Day start. John gives that speech. That
Yes.
ending took a lot of balls, seriously. And Gore
Yeah.
says, "Oh yeah, I forgot that it ended like that, ballsy ending." Yeah, man. And I gotta
Yeah.
admit, and I'll let you guys jump in. But again, I know it's just a movie. It's Terminator, and it's the third one, and it's not as good as the first and the second. I get it. All right. But as a fan, just as a movie fan and a Terminator fan, I'm watching it and I'm immersing myself in its mythology. And I gotta admit,
Yeah.
man, the ending kind of hit me. I was just like, wow, everything that they went through, everything Sarah
Yeah.
went through, everything
It's for
that
nothing.
well, not that it was for nothing,
Mm.
but
The
their
training, no,
motivations.
but
Right, but their
yeah.
motivations as far as trying to stop this thing at all costs. Like Sarah was always ready to give up her life to stop this thing. Miles Dyson gave up his life to stop this thing,
Yeah, he did.
and it's like, wow, it was going to happen one way or another. I mean, it's a gut punch. It really was. I mean, Kill, with you, I mean, especially all these years that we've watched this movie, does that still hit for you emotionally, just as far as how dark it is and the gut punch?
Yeah, because I mean, okay, I've said this before, and I'm sorry, I always kind of throw shades to Alien in that franchise because you have the character of Sigourney Weaver, her whole life and her death, sorry, spoilers, has been wrapped around a xenomorph.
Right.
Sarah Connor's life was interrupted as a young woman just being a waitress, living her best life in LA, single lady, meets this guy from the future, has a baby, and her life is changed drastically. It's thrown into a mental institution, dies of cancer, apparently in this movie. And her whole existence from that point on, from that annex point to the end of her days, has been wrapped around Judgment Day and stopping it and training and keeping her son safe. And now you look at John, ever since being a teenager in the first movie to now, has been waiting for this moment to either happen or not happen. I mean, he thought that, we stopped Judgment Day. Okay, yay, we win. Good wins, evil loses. So it's a gut punch in the respect of these two lives are forever changed. Right. And you kind of wonder, well, man, I mean, it was going to happen anyway, and it's just, it's like you said, it's a gut punch when you really think about, Sarah's existence, John's existence, and then John's ultimate death by a father figure that was sent back into the past. It's like, geez.
And Nick Stahl really, and Nick Stahl really showed so much of that in his acting. I know I said it a couple times, but shout out to Nick Stahl, man, because no one ever talks about him when they talk about the Terminator movies. Brian saying, gotta go, another stream. Always watch Monday and Friday nights. Just start at 9 like usual. Have a good night, guys. Thank you so much for dropping by, man. We appreciate it. And Frank saying the ending was poetics. Absolutely.
Yes.
Dan saying, okay, I'll watch it again. Yeah, man. Watch it again and see what happens, brother. See what happens. I did. We got Flamethrower in the chat saying, I'm going to be buried with a bunch of firearms in my casket just in case my kids need them when the machines take over. Yes.
Good for you. Yeah,
definitely.
Get them ready.
Eric saying, did we ever figure out how old John is supposed to be in part 2? I could never tell, and I was never sure what year T2 took place in. He was supposed to be, I think he was supposed to be 13 in T2. But Edward Furlong was older than that. So Jonathan Marstow, I think, was the director of T3, if I'm not mistaken. But he was talking about how when they casted Nick Stahl, he knows that the ages didn't line up perfectly, but he was trying to have Nick Stahl age up according to Edward Furlong's age and not the age of Connor in part 2. Because Edward Furlong was casted to play a younger character and so forth. So interesting stuff, man. And by the way, guys, well, first of all, please give the video a like. I should have said that earlier, but you guys know how this thing works. I mean, if we got a lot of people in here, if you're enjoying it, please, give us some love. Give the video a like, but also in the comment section, please let us know what you think about Terminator 3. And also to let you guys know, there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff on T3 that some stuff I didn't even know as far as how it happened, the rights and James Cameron's involvement. And all that type of stuff. I might just do another video just on that, just to get the information out, because I thought it was fascinating. And it was a lot of stuff that I did not even know. And I've been a Terminator fan since 84, so it was really cool. But also let us know, guys, if you'd like to have a video like that with that type of information. But yeah, man, Kill, this movie is all right, man. And I'm really excited to see where we go next, because I think next week, if there's ever been a Terminator movie we've talked more about, it might be the next one, because Yeah,
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
we're gonna
You'll
wait till
have to
next week.
tune in.
We're gonna wait till next week.
I don't
But
know
all
why I
gotta s-
asked, honestly.
but all I gotta say, man, is I'm ready to get this thing going for next week. So we hope you guys in the chat join us again for next week. Pass on the word. This is really fun stuff. I'm loving it. Eric saying, as we leave, I always give you love night. I know the routine. Yeah, you do. You know what's up. Eric, no, but seriously, that you really do, and I try to do the same thing too. You know, when you're supporting a channel, it's great to come and watch, obviously, but if you enjoyed it, give a like, give a comment, and that's the trifecta. Right? But thank you, Eric. We always appreciate what you do, brother. He says, have any of you seen the deleted scene about how the T800 officially got its look and voice? It's definitely something. Yes, I saw that. I might have to play a clip of that too. That's a good call, Eric. I might have to play that because that was kind of interesting. That was a good one. All right, guys. So we're going to head on out. Thank you so much. We will catch you guys later. Like I said, next week, we'll be talking about Terminator Salvation. We'll see how it goes. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace out, guys.
Peace.
Church.